In 2023, the Five Nights at Freddy's, aka FNAF, live-action film filled theaters and got gamers and me out of the house to go touch some grass. It was made and produced by Blumhouse, the same company to bring you titles like Imaginary, Megan, aka Me 3 Again, Happy Death Day 1 and 2, and everyone's favorite, Truth or Dare. Me, being the nerdy horror fan I am, for sure thought that 2023 would finally be the year we would see Five Nights at Freddy's Haunted House at Universal Studios. But finally, in 2025, it is happening. It is fucking happening. Can you tell I am just slightly excited for this? But alas, that means I have to get all of my ideas out there because it's going to be real soon. And John Murdy, please hire me. Please hire. I will take you out for coffee. Please, anything. Universal has worked with Blumhouse before, creating mazes such as Horrors of Blumhouse Chapter 1, Happy Death Day and The First Purge, Horrors of Blumhouse Chapter 2, Truth or Dare and Unfriended, Horrors of Blumhouse Chapter 3, Freaky and The Black Phone, and finally, the Enter the Blumhouse Terror Tram, which rode the wave of the success of Blumhouse's fantastically memeable movie, Me 3 Again.
Hi, I'm Megan. Wanna hang out? This is the part where you run.
My friends and I for sure thought we were going to get a FNAF or Me 3 Again themed maze in 2023, but we got something a little bit different instead. We did get a Megan and FNAF experience, but it was in the Kung Fu Panda 4 ride, which was fine. It was okay. It was more similar to a museum with the middle of the room having animatronics from the film. However, you weren't able to walk around much since it was so crowded in the waiting spaces to get into the theater. And once you were in the theater where you would normally see Poe, you would instead see a bunch of Me 3 Agains murdering a guy and then bootsing the house down. And don't get me wrong, it was still very cool to see all the animatronics from the film, and I definitely kept my cool in the room. Just looking at this picture and looking at how happy, like genuinely happy I am to be next to these animatronics, it's crazy. Whoever's editing this, I'm sorry. I apologize. And don't get me wrong, it was really cool, but I wanted a maze, goddammit. The idea to do these kind of videos actually came from a presentation night my friends and I did where we all wanted to talk about our special interests. And after like a bit of back and forth of what I wanted to do, they convinced me to do this because I just love the idea of being able to see Freddy Fazbear in person. Nope. So I could just get all my ideas and thoughts out there to just explain why this would be such a good haunted house, but whoa, slow down. I gotta stop that. Whoa, now, slow your roll there, cowboy. We gotta talk about some lore. So spoiler warning ahead. What the fuck is that? For anyone that is a fan of the series, you know that the lore is a deep, complicated mess that has been theorized over and over and over again. But for the sake of this video, we're going to do a very surface level dive, just mainly to discuss the story of the first game and what the story of the maze will look like. But this by no means is going to be a perfect explanation, and I may miss things because, let's face it, nobody can be MatPat. And I will also be combining lore from the movie and the game to make a more streamlined version of events for the maze. The Five Nights at Freddy's games take place in a series of pizzerias. The first game takes place in what is technically the second Freddy Fazbear's Pizza location in the series, as there are 2 prior locations, but for this brief section of lore, throw that knowledge away. We'll only be focusing on the first and third locations. The first location was called Fredbear's Family Diner, which closed down due to the disappearance of a child. Flash forward, they open a new location, which is the setting for the first game and the FNAF movie. The maze layout will be based on the location of the first game and movie, aka Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. In the first game, you play as Mike Schmidt, taking a security job at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. Your main goal is to survive 5, possibly 6 night shifts from 12 a.m. to 6 a.m. while avoiding animatronic characters that roam the pizzeria. Your only defense? The security cameras you watch from an office chair. A guy named Phone Guy gives you a call on a phone, which is a device known for calling on the phone. What the fuck? With instructions at the beginning of every night through a series of recorded messages. More on him later.
Hello? Hello?
Then you have the main stars of the show, the animatronics. These are the characters that even non-fans tend to recognize first. At least in my friend group, people who don't play the video games still point out anything FNAF related when they see it. Like my roommate Hunter, who showed me this really cool hat I almost bought. Did I buy the hat? Maybe. It's a cool hat, look at it. Will I be wearing this places? I don't know. We'll find out together, shall we? Now, the movies and the games start to differ with this guy named William Afton, also known as the Purple Guy.
Purple guy!
He is the owner of the franchise and has a very bad habit of murderizing guests and shoving them into animatronic suits, bringing them to life again. He also used a golden bunny suit called Spring Bonnie to lure and murder 5 children. He eventually became trapped in that Springlock suit, becoming the animatronic known as Springtrap. In the games, you start to uncover lore about him later on throughout the series, but in the movie, you learn stuff about him within the first 30 minutes. Similar to the games, the main character of the movie is Mike Schmidt, who is looking for a job. But since the movies give Mike more than a name, this is where the similarities end. Mike gets a job to support himself and his little sister, Abby, after repeatedly being fired from his previous jobs for lashing out due to PTSD caused by the kidnapping of his younger brother when they were children. He takes the only job he can as a night guard at a shut-down pizza place. After his first night, he meets Vanessa Shelley, a police officer who gives him the history of the pizzeria. Later in the dream, Mike meets the ghost children, and they want Mike's sister. After some more plot details and scary events, Vanessa reveals she is the daughter of William Afton. Abby talks with the animatronics, because she can do that somehow, and reveals that William Afton is the original person who put those kids into the animatronic suits. They turn on him and he ends up experiencing the classic Springlock death. And if you ask me to go into any further detail about any of that, my brain cells will actually collapse. So we're gonna just fucking stop there with the movie. Now, within the games, you learn about William's past through a series of mini-games. The main ones being Give Cake minigame and Purple Guy Death minigame. In the Give Gay, oh my god, William. In the Give Cake minigame, we see one of Purple Guy's first murders at the original Fredbear's Family Diner, where he kills what people call the crying child, because he do be crying. Then, in the Purple Guy Death minigame, the angry spirits of his victims trap him in the infamous rabbit Springlock suit, which later will earn him the title of Springtrap in the 3rd installment in the series. Oh, also people have said that Mike Schmidt is Michael Afton, William Afton's son in disguise. So for this, we're just gonna pretend that they're the same person. Again, very light stuff. I'm still surprised to this day that there are so many kids who like buy the toys and shirts of like these scary animatronics that are supposed to have like children stuffed into them and like who are possessed by the spirits of them. But like, me too, girl. Like, I can't. I know way too much about this fucking series, so you know what? Anyway, speaking of kids, let's talk about the animatronics. Great segue, am I right? There are the main 4 that steal the show in the first game: Freddy Fazbear, Bonnie the Rabbit, Chica the Chicken, and my personal favorite, Foxy the Pirate Fox. Well, at least he's my favorite in like the first like original games, because it is kind of hard to beat the glam rock animatronics, because like, look at them. Beep, 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 beep. I am mad that Bonnie and Foxy are not part of them, but still, they're cool. And Sun and Moon, look at them. Look at them. What divas. What icons. But back to the first game. Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy are the main animatronics that guests see during the day and the main ones you defend your office from during the night. But some players will encounter a 5th animatronic suit that sits slumped over and serves as a counterpart to the yellow rabbit suit William Afton wears, known as Golden Freddy. Of course, the lore on these animatronics goes way too deep to cover in this tiny section, so we'll mainly be focusing on the mechanics they have in the first game. We'll start with Bonnie and Chica. They have a very similar stalking pattern, taking opposite sides of the map, Bonnie on the left and Chica on the right. Bonnie loves to hang out near the animatronic storage closet, and Chica can be heard but not seen in the kitchen for the majority of the night. When they go to attack the player, they both stand in the doorway of the office. If the player does not catch them in time, they will block you from closing the door and wait for you to check their cameras before springing onto the player. Then there is Foxy, and he's a little bit different. Instead of roaming, if the player doesn't pay attention to their cameras and look at Foxy enough or looks at him too much, he will sprint and attack them by running down the long hallway connected between Pirate's Cove, Foxy's home, and the player's office. And then there's Freddy. His movement is determined by his laughter. Whenever you hear it, he has changed rooms. Whenever he's in a room that is not the kitchen, you can make out 2 glowing dots that are his eyes staring back at you at the cameras. And when he's in the kitchen, a music box plays the same tune when you run out of power. All right, I know that was a lot to take in, but throughout this video, I'll keep referencing back to it so you don't have to remember every single piece of information I just threw at you. That's just like a, hey now, it's gonna be okay kind of thing. And don't stress if you're new to all of this, because the main goal is to make these mazes both scary and entertaining. So you don't need to know all of the little details that make this what it is. Because after all, we're gonna have people going through this maze that have no idea who Freddy Fazbear is or why he has a hold on so many people's brains.
Was that the bite of 87?
So without further ado, gather round, children, because today we're hopping into the maze of Five Nights at Freddy's. And to celebrate, I got this. Wow. Look at her. Can this fucking wow. Look at her. This could be terrible. Let's find out. Don't explode, okay? I don't know if you're carbonated. Oh, fuck. Cherry lime drink. Night watch.
Hell yeah.
Oh, it actually has the official Five Nights at Freddy's branding on it too. So, it has to be good. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, that is actually fucking good. Shit. I was really hoping that it would not be. That's pretty damn tasty. Fuck. How many stores carry this? One? Fuck, why is it good? All right, so first up we have the queue. And just like any good maze, I have made a blueprint. Is it official? No. Do I know the safety regulations that you need to have for blueprints? No. But does it look pretty? Yeah, it does. But wait, there's more. Because you can't just look at shapes and say, oh, that's good, I know what it looks like. Oh, no. I have made a semi-accurate, high-definition, hyper-realistic maze in Minecraft. I have Minecraft, what? Now, the queue, like in any themed experience, has to get you ready to go into that experience, get you excited, get you scared to do the thing you're about to do. For this maze, having it feel like an alleyway, a side of a restaurant, a parking lot would work really well for setting the vibe for this restaurant family diner experience. It also depends on the length of the line and what you'll be able to do, but it should feel like you're outside a pizzeria. Along the walls, it would be nice to have graffiti and little posters referencing different things from the FNAF universe, much like the art that you'll see in a lot of the games. And of course, you gotta make the place feel grimy. Ew. In order to tell more of the story, there could be a help wanted postings for the job of security guard hung up around the line. I think it'd be cool to also have like little references to the games. Like you could have the trash gang animatronics there for some reason. Also like maybe even lefties out there. The animatronic used to trap the puppet, I believe. I think that'd be cool. Again, this lore is like way too complicated and it stems from different games. And I know it's not accurate to the first one, but like let me live. It would be cool to have. And in the line, you could have sounds and atmosphere to kind of like set the vibe for inside the maze. And honestly, I think like a good mixture of sounds from both like the games and the movies would really complement each other in this, since it is based off of both. Probably, I'm gonna say it's based off of both because they do work with Blumhouse, probably. And honestly, having like a good mixture of sounds from both the game and the movie would serve the queue really well, and even like different parts of the house too. It would be really cool to have like training videos being played from above, like it's your first shift as a security guard at Freddy Fazbear's. Kind of like what they did in the Quiet Place 2024 maze. At the front of the line, the entrance should be a fake facade of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza itself, making fans of the series pee themselves. Is it excitement? Is it fear? Who's to say? The Ghostbusters Frozen Empire 2024 maze is a great example of what I mean, since they did an awesome job with its shop exterior. And I think aiming for that level of quality and energy would be a great choice to resemble the outside of the pizzeria. And again, lights, sounds, effects make a really big difference when setting the vibe and getting people ready to go into an experience. Like, take a look at these two clips from the same line. We went during the day with early access, when it was still very bright outside. We could see more detail that they put into the exterior. However, it was notably very calm. Now check out the line at night and compare it to the one from Orlando. Those lights and sounds really add atmosphere and transport you right into the story they're telling. Something is off with this talent and you're jumping in with the Ghostbuster team to solve it. Honestly, I wish Orlando and Hollywood would combine their ideas for the queue to really make it one. I know that Orlando has more indoor space, but Hollywood could really use some of that too. But honestly, I can't complain because it was a way better entrance than what they did for A Quiet Place maze. Don't get me wrong, the maze was super cool. It was one of my favorites of 2024, but look at the entrance. I will give Hollywood credit for the TVs with the ASL instructions on it. That was a really good touch for my whole friend group loved that. And I tried looking up the one for Orlando too, but I couldn't find any of the instruction videos in there. But they did have a way better start to the maze. You just had to go through this one tunnel and this doorway. Anyway, small tangent aside, back to FNAF. Once clearing the queue, guests are met with the first room of the house. After entering the maze through the restaurant's doors, the house opens up into the hosting area of the restaurant. While this setup isn't technically in any of the games, we need to use our imaginations since this entire maze cannot be from an office chair. Along the right wall, there would be a hostess stand with a phone. The phone should definitely be illuminated by a spotlight to highlight the sounds coming from this room. More on that in a bit. Posted on the far back wall are help wanted signs for the job from the first game, the one that got Mike Schmidt into this mess in the first place. In order to get fans of the series excited about this maze, we absolutely have to get the decorations right in this maze. The classic checkerboard floor, the stripe that goes across the wall, everything. This would be the thing that made you feel like you are immersed into the world of Freddy Fazbear. The basic decorations should also be there, like the paper plates and the children's drawings that you can sometimes catch glimpses of on the cameras. We can also include signage explaining why the restaurant closed down from the first game, giving some guests some context if they dare to look. Ooh, did that make it scarier? The sound in this room should feel like it's coming from the phone. One of the main elements in the first game is the phone calls you get from Phone Guy. Every night, he leaves you a message with tips on handling the night shift. In this room, we would play a snippet of the first call where he's welcoming you to the job and giving you a little bit of a rundown. It helps guests step into the role of Mike Schmidt. This is your first job and you have no idea what's gonna happen. And speaking of him, the main character in this room would be Mike Schmidt. aka the player character, dressed in his security guard uniform. He's exploring this eerie environment right alongside the guests. But this doesn't mean that Mike has to be friendly. He could be tense and jumpy and reactive to the sounds that are playing around him as he's like looking at all the postings on the walls. Giving him a flashlight too would add to the effect, as he could use it to kind of direct people's like gaze of where he wants them to look before pouncing. This room serves as an introduction to the experience, so not skipping on the immersive details would really help fans and just casual attendees alike really get into it.
Hello? Hello? I wanted to record a message for you to help you get settled in on your first night. Hello? Hello? I wanted to record a message for you to help you get settled in on your first night.
After meeting Mike Schmidt, guests will turn down a dark hallway deeper into the restaurant. This space should feel claustrophobic, like we have entered into its back rooms, which aren't as nice as the front, even though nothing in this hellhole is nice. This is where I want William Afton, aka the purple guy, introduced to the guests.
Purple guy!
In this hallway, there will be a desk and a doorway behind him. Here, guests will see William seated in an office chair, picking up the phone and explaining the job with a sinister smile as he notices them approaching. I'd love to incorporate either projection mapping or dramatic lighting here to really give him a proper introduction. As the lights go out, William's laughter will fill the room. Red light will then slowly rise as the shadow of 5 children appear on the walls behind him. Fans will immediately recognize this as a reference to the children he turned into animatronics. Suddenly, the room flashes and William slams down the phone and lunges at the guests before calmly sitting back down to answer the phone, and the cycle repeats. In this room, we'll play the distorted call from night 5, where it sounds like the animatronics have taken control from the phone guy. While this unfolds, the other side of the hallway has a small opening for an appearance from another character from the first movie, Vanessa. Dressed in her police uniform and armed with a flashlight, she'll pop out of the wall, guiding guests toward their escape route from the pizzeria's backrooms. Although Vanessa doesn't appear until later games in the series, she is in the first movie. Including her here ties it all together for like fans who have seen maybe the movie but haven't played the games, but like no spoilers if you haven't seen it for yourself.
Freddy, you're supposed to be on lockdown.
Officer Vanessa, I do not know how I got here.
In this next long hallway, I really want it to be clear that William is the one that's donning this golden rabbit suit. In the straight section of this hallway, to the guests' left, there'll be a chest-high window. They will see William in his casual work outfit, like we see in the movie, putting on a bunny head. Why is it a casual work outfit and head only? It's a good way to save on money because the costumes for this will be so expensive. Making these full-scale suits is a lot of money and a lot of time. So using some of these suits sparingly and not having to make every suit will help save on cost. And to really help this effect be brought to life, William Afton should be front lit as he looks through the window, giving guests a clear view of his face. But as he puts on the headpiece, the lighting shifts, casting his body in a silhouette and highlighting his transformation. He lets out a sinister laugh and slips away to the right side of the window. Nearby, a door will allow him to come around and jump scare the guests. This should feel like we're really catching him in the act as he dons the mask, and he is determined to get rid of any witnesses.
Welcome to the night shift.
As guests step out of the front hallway, they arrive at the heart of the game, the player's security office. Unlike other horror games, FNAF paved the road for sit-and-wait security horror that has now flooded the indie horror video game market. While you keep tabs on wandering animatronics through the cameras, your view of the restaurant is all from a little fixed desk chair. So this means one thing. This room has to be spot on. It is the only room in the game the player is actively sitting in. The office layout features 2 doors, one on your left and one on your right. Guests will enter in through the left door and exit via the right door, ensuring they get to see the full room as they pass through. Now, this is the room I want gamers' jaws to be on the fucking floor. Like, I want them to be like, dude, this is the room. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know when you hear people like, oh, that's it. That's the thing. I want that to be, I want that. And that means we have to make it accurate. And how do we do that? This includes the famous security screens, the iconic Freddy Knows Boop poster, the pile of random trash that sits there all 5 nights and no one cleans it up. Why does no one clean it up? And most importantly, the fan.
Oh my God, what the fuck?
Throughout the maze, I really want people to feel like this is a meet and greet with each of the characters, giving each of them proper time to be seen by the audience. It also limits the amount of characters you need per section, meaning you don't have to build that many animatronic suits. I mean, like, kind of. We still want them in there, so, like, you gotta build them, but, like, kind of, you know? But the thing is, like, you cannot cheap out when it comes to these guys. They are the staples of this franchise. They need to be the stars of the show.
Way to go, superstar!
Like, you don't want little Timmy walking out disappointed because he saw the equivalent of Freddy Fazbear's Spirit Halloween costume. I personally think the scariest thing about this mask is the eyes that you can see through it. I'm Freddy Fazbear. The scare actor in that room will be Mike Schmidt, nervously scanning the space. Behind him, the desk from the game sits as he frantically searches for a way to close the doors. The lights flicker off, and the familiar song of the music box fills the air. In the far right-hand corner, where the window is, 2 large eyes and the menacing mouth watch from the shadows. For those familiar with the game, a shiver may run down your spine. This is... What the fuck? This right here, Professor. This is the part where the power runs out. It's the infamous Death by Freddy scream. Freddy. As guests walk through, Mike can actually play with the lights going off and on, using them to hide his movements in the dark. Since the attention will mainly be on the glowing mouth and eyes, this gives the actor space to play. I think it'd be fun to play with some of the camera sounds in this room. One of my favorite noises in the game is when the player's trying to click the door button or the camera to come back up, and it's the error one that happens. I think adding this little Easter egg would be a good nod to, like, veterans of the game who remember their first time this happened to them and panic spamming either of those buttons. After exiting the office, guests may be nervous to come head to head with Freddy, and lucky for them, they don't. Just kidding, they do! After immediately turning the corner and walking through the curtains into the next hallway, Freddy in all of his glory will be there to meet you, standing tall over the guests as he lunges at them from the darkness, letting out the iconic Freddy Fazbear scream. Okay, I'm gonna go put Freddy back up where he belongs. There goes our beautiful baby boy. After our meet and greet with Freddy, guests will find themselves in a long, dimly lit hallway with some twists and turns. And you know how, like, a lot of people lie and say they don't have a favorite child? Well, I do. And don't get me wrong, all of them are great, but there is one that consistently like ranks near like the top of my list for me, and it's Foxy. I mean, like, come on. Throughout the games, he is a character that consistently has great character design. And who doesn't like pirates? Everyone likes pirates. This hallway will be themed and dressed like the one we see from the original game that is right near the exit of Pirate's Cove, the place where Foxy lives. As guests start to wander through, they will hear Foxy's joyful humming from the first game filling the halls. On their left, guests will see a metal door, like the ones from The Office.
Hey, bandit!
Closed tightly shut with loud footsteps and banging coming from behind it as the door rattles and shakes. For the gamers, you know this happens when Foxy begins his run down the long hallway, and if you manage to close the door in time, he will slam up against it before retreating back to his cove. And that usually is like the end of that interaction that you have with him. He runs, you close the door, it's over. But then I was thinking, like, how is Foxy scary? And then I thought, what if Foxy, instead of running and then retreating when he fails, what if you tried to claw down the door you're behind? As guests proceed down the hallway, on their right there'll be another metal door on its last limbs as Foxy begins to burst through the exposed opening. I can hear you asking, how are we gonna do this? Actually, A Quiet Place Maze in 2024 did something very similar to this. They had the main monster from that movie everywhere in that maze, which is so impressive since it's a very complicated animatronic piece. However, there are some parts of that maze that has my mortal enemy in it. A black hallway with holes that people can scare you from. But instead of taking me out of the experience like it normally does, it actually helped enhance part of that puppet for me. It actually helped give it more life as your brain tried to fill in the gaps with your imagination of like what's actually happening behind that door. So what if we took that idea and applied it into this case with Foxy? We could have a metal door that has Foxy's exposed exoskeleton hands ripping through the metal as it hides the majority of his lower suit/body. But behind the tears in the door, you'll be able to see his movements and glowing eyes as he tries to thrash at you. Then at the end of the hallway sits a stage with a purple curtain. Foxy, front and center, welcoming you to Pirate's Cove. Can you just imagine the look on people's faces? Can you just imagine it? They'll be like, oh my God, it's like the game. How was I so bad? And in this case, I think Foxy can be played by a scare actor. This would enable him to give more life to the character and really be able to interact with the guest face to face. And as a little bonus, since we'll already have Foxy tethered to the stage, we can kind of have like lean out at guests to scare them, you know, like as a little like sweet treat in there. And plus, I would love to see Foxy like Michael Jackson at some guests. After entering the next room, Mike tries to hold the doors closed in front of you. Foxy slams into them from the other side. All of a sudden, the slamming stops and we hear Foxy begin to hum and run away. Mike retreats, scanning the area for any other signs of Foxys. Foxys? There's a Foxys on the loose. Guests are then met with Foxy's humming coming from a dark corner of the room. And I think like the second scariest thing that Foxy does is running. That thing is fast. Unlike any of the other animatronics, we actually see him run. So why not make him run? To do this, we'll have Foxy on a rail and we'll have him start to run at you like he does in the game. But by his feet, we'll have a little barrier. 1, so guests can't get near him. And 2, so we can hide his feet because they're not going to be really making traction on the floor. To then cover that up, we can play his footstep sounds to help us fill in the gaps that, oh yes, he is running. He is in this physical space. And then at the end, you know, when he like peeks into the doorway and plays his jump scare sound, playing that at the end like really bring players back into that headspace. Foxy's so good. I love that character. Oh, having that like little cut security cam footage of him running at you and having to like put it down so fast to catch him is so good. And personally, that would make me throw up in a good way.
Never underestimate the cunning of a pirate. Or a fox, for that matter. Never underestimate the
Leaving Foxy and moving into the next hallway, guests will see the entrance to the backstage storage from the first games. When guests enter, they will be met with the room from the game over screen, where Bonnie likes to stalk. The most notable aspect about this closet is the abundance of animatronic parts and endoskeletons that occupy the space. These guys become more relevant in later games, so I think that gives us grounds to use them here. Because when I think endoskeletons, I think of Security Breach, and so we're going to be using those guys in here. And I don't do well when it comes to mannequins, especially game mannequins. So imagine my horror in Security Breach when those endoskeletons only move when you're not looking. The worst. It took me so long to get through that section. So how it works, if you're looking at them, they stay still, but when you turn your back, weeping angel style, they start to fucking book it towards you. It is poop your pants for sure. Through the opening of the closet, guests will be greeted by a dark room with minimal maintenance lights as endoskeletons line the hallways. As any haunted house goer knows, this is the good old which one is real test. And no matter how many times this is used, it still gets me to this day. And if we could get a good scare ping pong within that room, and how we do this, it will depend on space and resources as well. Now, I'm not saying to use a black hallway because boo, no, that is stinky, yucky, ew, and we don't like those, but we could take advantage of them for this maze. And god damn it, does that make me angry. This would just allow us to like hide the rigging better for these endoskeletons and help hide the people that have to like be in the suits a little better too. Listen, I know, boo. Just beyond the next doorway lies the room from the death screen. The main table you see in the image will be the roundabout point that sends guests deeper in. Shelves will be filled with animatronic parts and extra heads, some seeming to stare at you as you pass. Then, through an employees-only door, Mike will peek his head out, surveying the area. He looks just as jumpy and nervous as he did before as he scans the animatronic parts, but something catches his eyes further down the hall. As you turn to see what he's looking at, two eyes belonging to a tall figure stare back at you, behind a door with a glass window. The outline of a vengeful purple rabbit. The shelves and clutter disguise the path on either side, making it harder to see what may be hiding in the shadows. Bonnie is described to be hands down the most aggressive and active animatronic during your 5-night shift. In the first game, he seems to be everywhere, like always about to strike. So by having multiple Bonnies in this really claustrophobic space will make it feel just like the first game. After introducing the outline of him, he'll become more aggressive, hunting you in the dark. And I think Bonnie's suit should be designed with glowing eyes to really highlight his presence as he looks down at you. And I don't mean like the red glowing eyes from the movie. I mean like the dark black pit with like the one glowing dot in the center. A phone call plays in this room from Phone Guy. Hearing knocking sounds over the phone as you pass through the endoskeletons in the closet will help set up the story for this room, as he implies that there are dead people in the empty suits. I want this to be real so bad. I think I just want to see all of them. I want to see, I think that's it. That's all.
I may not be around to send you a message tomorrow. It's been a bad night here for me. I always wondered what was in all those empty heads. I may not be around to send you a message tomorrow. It's been a bad night here for me. I always wondered what was in all those empty heads. I may not be around to send you a message tomorrow. It's been a bad night here for me. I always wondered what was in all those empty heads.
Can you guess what comes next? We have met 3 out of the 4 stars. So that leaves room for one more animatronic. Chica the chicken! Woo! Chica has a signature look, and no, all of you creeps, it is not her look from the second game. Back up, leave her alone. She, of course, has her best friend, Sir Cupcake. And why not give him a room in the maze too, since he, does play such a big part in the movie? I think he is the only character that we see like actively kill a couple people. Well, no. Yeah, he kind of does. Huh. Don't fuck with the cupcake, I guess. Before entering the hallway, Mike appears, pushing you further into the hall, warning you to not look the cupcake in the eyes.
You looked into my eyes.
Okay, look, no, before you say anything, I did write another black hallway. I know, boo, but it kind of works. And what if it doesn't have to be all black? For this room, I was trying to figure out how to like make this adorable guy scary. Then it hit me. The HHN Halloween Hell Comes to Haydenfield maze in 2016 was the answer. There's a part in the maze where pumpkin heads line the halls and ceilings of the maze, and some are people dressed to match the background and blend in with its surroundings. And since this is a cupcake head, can you see, are you, yeah. It will kind of help give the same illusion. But it doesn't have to be just a black hallway. We can throw in some arcade floor pattern to break up the space and make it harder to see the scare actors' outlines. Plus, if we use a black light to make all those colors pop, we could really pop our chica ussies. Oh my god, so bad. After a good few Sir Cupcake scares, we head to Chica's dark, dusty corners of the maze. When I think of Chica and Bonnie in my head, the first thing I think of when I see their jump scares is the way they stare at you from the office windows. Just looming in the darkest corners. And once you turn on that light, goddamn, the way I used to jump out of my seat. I mean, I still do. I will admit, I still do. Look at that dead stare directly into your soul. The office, stage, and the right hallway are the few locations where you can actually see Chica in the game. However, there is a place you can only hear her as she rummages around in the dark, and that is the kitchen. So when you hit this first section, Chica, boom, staring at you from a window. We could have Mike there pretending to hold the door closed and fighting for his life to keep her away. As guests round the corner, we're plunged into the darkness of the kitchen, which we could allude to by utilizing the sounds of bumping pans and pots. And since this room is supposed to be disorienting, we can have Mike and Chica ping pong scare the guests. And instead of having her pop out of cubbies dramatically, what if we instead had her stalk you in the darkness? And great news, we have our well-known football announcer, Pixel X-Ray, to tell you the play. Pixel.
We're going to come in this way, and this is where the discombobulation happens, essentially in the central area. You're going to have defenders all over the place, right? That's going to be a big issue. You're going to have them all over the place in, like, walls. Maybe even people that are also in the maze with you, kind of being a pain in the ass. You know, like maybe you're stuck here. So in order to get past these slow people that are walking, and also maybe a couple up here won't stop making out. You can't go this way. You can't go this way. You gotta go forward. So essentially what you're going to want to do is go forward. Ask these people if they can move a little faster. They say, oh, we can't move faster. There are a bunch of people making out in front of us. So then what you do here is you go a little bit sly. You go like this. Now you're around here. Now you're going to scream at them. Now these folks are bothered. So the thing is because it's coming from this general direction, these bothered people are going to be like, oh, why did you yell at me? And at this point in time, as they're turning around, you're going to go ahead and return to this position. The bothered people that were going slow, who are actually totally innocent because they were just stuck behind the making out people, will go at it. They're going to go at it. They're going to throw some hands. So now you're going to get to walk this way. Whee! Yay! You know all you have to do is move forward. And since these guys are arguing, these chicas will make noises, the defenders, and they're going to be aiming for these guys. So because you'll be able to hear them making noises, you can actually skedaddle straight forward. And then right here, boom, touchdown. Right here is Freddy Fazbear, and he's so proud of you. He's saying, way to go, superstar, because you did it. Those two people that are back here, they will actually have security come after them.
Thank you, Pixel X-Ray. Using the strategic play coupled with the darkness, we can push guests further down the hallway, discombobulating guests by quickly contrasting the comfort of Mike and the threat of Chica, because that Chicken Little is scary.
Don't look them in the eyes.
Straight out of the darkness of Chica's hallway, we see the familiar atmosphere of the pizzeria. Or is it? The walls are older, mold-stained, and abandoned. The lights flicker, their bulbs long forgotten. The hallway looks like an alternate version of the first hallway into the office, but all of the art on the walls seem to have lost their color. Images of happy children turned dark, now frowning in front of a purple man. Mike is there. Or is it Mike? He looks like Mike, but something is off. He seems to glitch, almost malfunction, like an animatronic. And right by the entrance to the office hangs a poster on the wall of golden Freddy Fazbear staring back with his blacked out eyes. As guests turn toward the office doors, a version of a familiar set sits before them. Everything in its place, but the room is uncomfortably dark, with a golden figure sitting before you. The fifth animatronic, Golden Freddy. While animatronics 1 through 4 occupy suits with endoskeletons, Child 5 was shoved into an empty suit and forced to watch and wait. In the game, he takes on a ghostly appearance, projecting his image into the office, and any encounter he has with cowardly players proves to be fatal and matched with a unique Golden Freddy death scream. And getting this death actually makes your game crash, like pulls you out of the game. Okay, this section of the maze won't be so much like terrifying, just more theatrical. And to really sell this section, you need a good scare actor. Their job is to sell that the game is crashing in this scene. Now, hear me out. You're in the office. Mike sits on your right, pushed back from the desk, staring wide-eyed as Golden Freddy sits in his spot at the foot of the desk. Mike looks around confused as the slumped over, seemingly lifeless suit leers at him. The room begins to flicker with a black light while a message floods the walls surrounding the guests. It's me, it's me, it's me. Mike, once animated and scared, now sits frozen and distant, almost soulless. This effect can be achieved with the one that they use at Knott's in their Cinema Slashers maze, where everything in the space is designed with a UV reflective paint that glows, giving the place the look of lightning striking every surface, and making my friends look crazy in the process. Because can you imagine giving the same energy as the game crashing as the scene unfolds around you would be so fucking cool. So fucking cool. Okay, I'm okay. I promise. I'm okay. I think I really need this thing to be real. Like really badly. In the movie at this point, all of the animatronics, Mike, Abby, and Vanessa are all friends and build a pillow fort. And we will have none of that shit. It took all of the fear out of it for me. Like, I was no longer scared. Unless you think, like, Bonnie giving a thumbs up is the scariest thing you've seen, which, like, fair. Oh, wait, hang on. Exiting the office, we start to hear the garbled animatronic sounds from the fifth night. Mike pops out, hearing them too, covering his ears as the sounds come from everywhere. His radio, the PA system, more electronics. I just wrote etc. There's nothing else. Electronics. Mike then runs away, back into the dark, trying to escape the sounds, trying to escape the night. As the guests progress forward, the sounds of William Afton's voice becomes increasingly louder, pleading for his life. The spirits sound angry, and they want a dish best served cold. They want him to swim with the fishes. Through the next door, Afton, in the golden rabbit suit, staggers back in fear, pleading. Not to us, but to something just outside of our view. We can hear the slight dripping sounds of water as the garbled voices start to become clearer without the radio static. Stepping into the back room, we are greeted by a row of ghosts of the children possessing the animatronic suits, lined up in the us formation. Like they're holding hands. They're all there, they're holding hands. The children laugh, staring at a figure lying in the corner, the newly made Springtrap writhing in pain. You'll be able to hear the Springlocks digging into his skin, crushing his bones, piercing his organs while screaming in pain. Gah! Get you?
These children, that we come to an understanding. Please, children, that we come to an understanding. Get away from me. Get away! Get away from me. Get away! Get away from me. Get away!
As Springtrap screams linger behind the guests, they cross into the next room. The room becomes lighter, and an analog clock on the wall chimes 6 a.m. You have officially survived the night! Woo! And right as the relief of surviving the night sets in, we'll have Mike jump out as he runs through a door, surviving the night with you and accompanying you to the next room. And did you think we would leave this maze without being able to see the main stage area? False. Wrong. This is a requirement. This is needed. This is wanted. I'm looking at you, Universal. I'm looking at you. So it's Freddy. We first pass by Foxy and Pirate's Cove. Everything in its rightful place after a chaotic night. And just to the right, the 3 other stars of the show will tower over the guests, mounted on their platforms. And did you think we would leave Golden Freddy out of the section? Wrong. Will only make him visible to the people that dare to look up as he sits biding his time in the rafters, staring down from above. I think that would be sick. That would be cool. Mike is there too, scanning the animatronics with a flashlight, praying the nightmare doesn't start over, as Vanessa finds him there and helps him out of the pizzeria. Guests will make their final turn, sighing in relief when they see the exit door within reach. They'll leave the maze and clock out at their shift at... Wait, I'm forgetting something. Fuck, something really important. Something that always comes back. Guests will go to the exit of the maze and the undying Springtrap will lunge at them. Fans will light up. Casual viewers will scream. Me, a mixture of both, along with Shit My Pants and William Afton's famous last words.
That was close.
Should have seen the last guy.
What happened to the last guy? That was close.
You should have seen the last guy.
What happened to the last guy?
I always come back.
And there you have it. You survived the night at Freddy's. Congratulations. Now make your way toward the gift shop and claim your Crying Child hoodie and your Springtrap Stanley water bottle. You've earned it. In all seriousness, making this kind of maze is something I take pure joy and excitement in. I love taking something that I love and hold so dearly and turning it into something that all audiences can enjoy and experience and make memories off of. I love that shit. And I think haunted houses are a great way to do that. And thank you so much to my friends who pushed me to actually make this video in the first place, who helped create this video. Fucking love you guys. And I can't be too serious right now because I will get emotional, so I love you. And thank you for watching, and hopefully to many more of these in the future. I already have some planned up and lined up with some of my other favorite gaming franchises, but if you have some, put it down there. I'll take a look. Put it down in the comments. I'll take a look through them. I'll scroll. And if you want to see more of this, do all the things. Touch all the buttons. It helps me and you out. Go follow me on Twitch. It's fun over there. You get to see all this live. Now, Halloween Horror Nights, the ball is in your court. We wait to see it with excitement and anticipation to see what you do with this story and where you take it. And remember, folks, Did that jump scare get you? Good thing I don't have anything to worry about here.